My name is Lina. I always believed my husband, Daniel, was the most honest man in the world. We met at university, and from the first day, he was kind, calm, and respectful. When he smiled, the world felt safe. After 5 years together, we finally got married. Our life was simple, but happy. We lived in a small apartment, cooked dinner together, and watched movies every weekend. Daniel worked as a manager in a small company. He always came home around 7 p.m. But one night, something was different. It was already 10 p.m., and he still wasn't home. I tried to call him, but he didn't answer. Finally, he walked in the door at 10:30. He looked tired. "Where were you?" I asked. He placed his bag on the table and said, "Just working late." I didn't ask more questions, but something felt strange. The next night, the same thing happened. He came home late again, and again the next day. 3 nights in a row. Daniel had never done that before. I tried to ignore the feeling in my heart, but my mind kept asking questions. One evening, I said softly, "Daniel, is everything okay at work?" He smiled and replied, "Yes, everything is fine. Just a lot of work these days." His answer sounded normal, but his eyes looked different. A week passed. Every night, he came home later and later. One night, he arrived at midnight. I couldn't sleep. My thoughts were running in circles. Is he hiding something? Is there another woman? I hated these thoughts, but they wouldn't go away. The next evening, I made a decision. When Daniel left the house, I waited 10 minutes. Then I quietly followed him. My heart was beating so fast, I could hear it in my ears. He drove across the city, past the busy streets, past the big shopping mall. Finally, he stopped his car in a quiet neighborhood. Small houses stood close together. The streetlights were dim. Daniel parked his car and walked toward a small blue house. I watched from inside my car. He knocked on the door. A few seconds later, someone opened it. He walked inside. I felt my hands shaking. I waited outside for 10 minutes, then 20 minutes. My mind was full of fear. Finally, I gathered my courage and walked to the door. I knocked slowly. The door opened, and what I saw shocked me. A little girl stood in front of me. She looked about 6 years old. She had bright eyes and messy hair. She looked up at me and smiled. Behind her, Daniel appeared in the hallway. His face turned pale when he saw me. The little girl ran toward him and hugged his leg. "Daddy," she said happily. My heart stopped. I looked at Daniel, unable to speak. "Is she your daughter?" I whispered. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Yes." The word felt like a knife in my chest. Tears filled my eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. Daniel sat down and looked at the floor. A few seconds later, he began to speak. "Before I met you, I was in a relationship. The woman became pregnant. But after the baby was born, she became very sick." Daniel's voice became quiet. "She passed away when the little girl was 2 years old." I looked at the child standing beside him. Her small hands were holding his arm. Daniel continued, I was raising her alone. But when I met you, I was afraid. Afraid you would leave if you knew. So I kept it a secret. Tears rolled down my face. For weeks I thought he was betraying me. But the truth was completely different. I slowly walked toward the little girl. She looked up at me curiously. "What's your name?" I asked gently. "Emma," she replied. She smiled shyly. Something inside my heart softened. I knelt down and hugged her. Daniel looked at us with tears in his eyes. That night, everything changed. Not because my husband betrayed me, but because our family became bigger. From that day forward, Emma didn't just have a father. She had a mother too. And I learned something important. Sometimes the truth we fear is actually a beautiful surprise waiting for us.